So what is the difference between marijuana of 1960, 1970, the marijuana that I use, versus the marijuana of today? What is the difference?
Today, we're going to look at that difference between the marijuana, we call it the hippie marijuana, the
Yeah.
Woodstock
Yes.
marijuana, and the marijuana of 2022,
Yes.
the high potency THC marijuana. We're going to show you the difference between those two today and the radical difference of the effects of both of those and how it's impacting people all over the United States.
Yes. One difference for sure is that they smell very different. That's a good question.
Well, we're going to look at the marijuana of the 1960s, which I referred to as the Woodstock weed, versus the 2022 high potency marijuana. And we're going to look at the differences between the two, and it'll help you make sense of why we're having some of these side effects today that they were not having back in the 60s and 70s.
Right. We had problems in the 60s and 70s, but not this.
Not quite the same.
No.
So let's look at one of the differences between Woodstock weed and the 2022 high potency weed. The Woodstock weed THC levels were anywhere from 3 to 5%. The 2022 high potency weed, the THC levels are between 15 and 25%. 40 to 60% THC levels in vape concentrates. And the edibles can range from 50% to 99%.
The next one is THC associated with, in the Woodstock weed, was mellow, relaxed, increase of appetite. You always wanted to eat. Mild cognitive impairment, where thinking was a little off.
Yeah. But you get into the high potency 2022 weed, and the THC levels are so high, it's actually creating anxiety. It's associated with paranoia, psychosis, and stronger cognitive impairment. So some of the side effects that people are having today, they didn't have 30 years ago. That's why some of the baby boomers are like, oh, it's no big deal. My child's smoking marijuana.
Right. It's better than alcohol. No big deal. But
listen, you're dealing with a potency that's 3, 4, 5 times stronger. You can take any medication, any drug, and if you increase the potency 3, 4, 5 times, you're going to have side effects that you would never have
exactly
on lower doses. All right, so number 3, the brain development of anybody continues to age 25.
Right.
And so the less potency weed of the Woodstock weed, the impact on the brain development is a lot less.
Yes.
But today, the high potency marijuana is having an increased impact on brain development because the concentration levels are so much higher. And so the impact on our kids between 15 and 25 are so much more, and we don't even have studies of the impact that it's having. We're only having symptoms, or we're having manifestations that are different than 30 and 40 years ago. As we said, increased anxiety, increased psychotic episodes, which is really scary.
Yeah.
And then the level of people that are susceptible to schizophrenia are having double the amount of manifestations if they chronically smoke marijuana.
Right.
So we know THC affects our brain. And that's one of the main things that any drug does, it affects our brain. And so we just want you to see that these drastic increases in potency levels are doing things today that they were not doing years and years ago. The Woodstock weed of the 1960s was unregulated, and it was really more natural.
Right. And that was the whole thing, is that we're just doing something natural. It's not chemically induced.
Yes. But the high potency weed of today, it's regulated, it's being genetically manipulated. Because of laboratorial advancements, they're able to create the higher potencies of the THC. And the other thing that makes it a bit scary is that it's being backed now by big tobacco.
Well, that's really scary, because in the, years and years ago when they grew tobacco and you rolled your own cigarettes, that was one thing. And then we know what happened when when the big pharmacy companies bought it and they started putting the chemicals in it, and all the big lawsuits and lung cancer and all that. So now we have another addictive modality going on, and we know when something's addictive, there's money behind it because people can't stop. So it's big business, and now who's bought into it? Not the farmers, not the people that do natural, plant derivatives, the herbs and all that. No, big tobacco bought
Big
it.
tobacco.
Big tobacco.
The fifth difference between Woodstock weed of the 60s and high potency is that the Woodstock weed had little to no overdoses. You never heard of people having overdoses on too much marijuana.
Right. We're talking about just some straight up marijuana, no other drugs mixed with it, just straight up marijuana.
Today, the high potency 2022 marijuana, due to high THC levels, in 2019, there were 2,800 people hospitalized and 68 people died due to illegal THC vaping products directly related to the high potency
Right.
of THC.
Yes, and it's not regulated. They say it's regulated, but you don't really know if you're getting how much percentage of THC you're getting in each thing.
Well, actually, the laws are not regulating the
Exactly.
amounts that can be put in it.
That's
You
what I'm
can
talking
have
about.
the edibles can be up to 99% THC levels.
That's insane.
I know that Colorado right now is trying to pass a law to try to maximize it at 60%. And so there's a lot of debate about that because it's causing so many problems in the state that has basically free reign with marijuana.
Interesting.
Yeah. I want to invite you to these two really good resources of marijuana. One is a book simply called Marijuana by Kevin Hill. He's a medical doctor, and it's the unbiased truth about the world's most popular weed. And then also, if you're interested in really moving into a recovery process
Right.
of coming off of marijuana, getting some support, this book here, Life with Hope, A Return to Living Through the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions of Marijuana Anonymous. Excellent book, lots of stories, fill you with hope, will give you the tools to move into a recovery process that will be life-changing for you. If you're interested in one or both of these books, we have a link for you in the description, and you can get those books today, and they'll be helpful. And secondly, we've identified, is it helpful, is it harmful? And perhaps in this video, you're kind of putting together that so-and-so, this loved one, this friend of mine, an associate has an issue with addiction, may have a problem with marijuana,
Right.
abuse disorder. We would like to help you with that because sometimes you don't know how to interact with somebody that's struggling.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people don't know how to react.
What are the do's and don'ts
Yeah, because you want to do it right, if possible.
to help them get better, but not to help them get worse?
Right.
So I'd encourage you to check out this video, Addiction, Are You Helping or Hurting? And to check on that right now, just click on the screen, and that'll be very helpful for you. And we will see you
in the next video.